Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome to Sim Racers World TV. My name is Hasse Römer, and it is my pleasure to say that I have Chaz Draycott alongside me for rounds 4, 5, and 6A. Apologies for not having the correct data up there. It is not rounds 1, 2, and 3, but rounds 4, 5, and 6, and we'll get that fixed. But we are here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, in Canada. Chaz, I'm excited for this one. This is one of my favorite circuits, and as well to have you in the booth with me. It's always an honor and a pleasure indeed.
Yes, indeed. It's fantastic to be back for this. Really, really excited, and it's a championship that's very, very close to my heart, as everybody knows. And to be honest, one of my very favourite circuits in the world as well, here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So I cannot wait to see what these guys can do here. There was a lot of controversy here last season, because while pit stops are not, I'm going to chuck these words out now that the drivers will have etched into the back of their heads. Pit stops are not mandatory, but the setups were made in a way last season that forced drivers to pit in the feature. I'm going to chuck these race, and funnily enough, in the feature, some of them were able to fuel save enough to get to the end. So the fuel calculations were slightly out, and some guys actually finished without pitting, and the result stood. So there was a lot of controversy last time out, but still very, very excited to be back. I'm very excited to catch up with this action, because it feels like forever since I've been here. And of course we get to commentate together again as well, Hasse, and we're going to have a good old amount of fun for the rest of the season doing this.
I've really looked forward to it as well. It's going to be grand. It was a great opening round as well. Last time out we certainly did have our fair bit of controversy as well, in the shape of a relatively large, and in particular one really big lap 1 pileup. The stewards are keen on seeing a cleaner race start today. And what I'm interested as well is are we going to see wheels flying and body parts falling off by the Wall of Champions tonight? It is a legendary wall. And well, not to throw out any curses or anything, but it is also such a high-stakes corner where such amounts of time can be won, but also, as we've seen so many times before, it can all be lost. So that's one to look out for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, these drivers are pushing the limits of these cars. They don't treat curbs very well, these things, or they don't react to curbs very well anyway. So if they do hit either of the curbs just that tiny bit wrong, then they'll find themselves being fired into the wall, and before you know it, they have a very, very large amount of damage. Got a car sideways in the middle of the road there. That was the number 28 of Silas Cragvrolic. He's started... Oh, it was not the 28. We've got the 298 of Dennis Verenger going around into the wall. Nice of them to put the drivers' names in such large writing on the side of the body. Usually in these sorts of cars, you do get the driver's name on the car, but they're usually tiny. You can't really see it on a camera, so nice of those guys to have that. But some fantastic team names out there this season once again. Alcantech NHR by Nyman Racing as well. Great to have the Alcantech boys on. Silas Cragvrolic and Matthew Crisp, very, very importantly, going over to that team, and Kevin Zemstra as well, as they were all previously fiercely forward drivers. So it's been exciting to see how they get on there. My favourite team name, of course, Dynamics Racing Duvel, with the huge, huge logo on the side from the Belgian beer, Duvel. But the good friends of mine as well at Team Mad out there. Pete Harrod lives about 1.5 miles down the road from me. Miguel Freitas, I've commentated on Miguel for a very, very long time and raced with him for a very, very long time. And also, my good mate Paul Smith is out there in the field as well in the 133 car, known as Smileable, with his streaming ventures and Smile Time Productions with his media work. Anyone else will probably know Paul from commentary on the iRacing Esports Network and on Race Spot TV as well. He's a man of our own hearts, really. Sorry, a man after our own hearts, we should say. He's a top bloke, is Paul. But it's good to see him still getting involved in driving as well, because, I mean, much like we've discussed before, as a commentator, you don't often drive that much, but it's just nice to get out there in the car and enjoy it, especially in something like this.
Absolutely so. This is the kind of car and the kind of series that I guess you want to race, and I found myself drawn towards it as well. I do enjoy the F3s a lot. It's a great little car. It's such fun to drive, and it's really a great car to race. I touched upon it last week as well, but it's such a good car to race It has all the right traits that you want to have in a machine to actually be able to go wheel to wheel and to really bring out the best in the drivers as well. So, and it's true as well, once you get committed into commentary duties, it's often hard to find really the time really to commit to race in the same way if you were a little bit more open on it. But the other hand around, it does also make it more enjoyable. And I have to say, I found myself gravitating more towards enjoying different aspects of sim racing, because when I want to drive, it's not necessarily when I want to race. And then when I race, for instance, in iRacing, we do a special event with the team or something, it becomes all the more special. And that's also somehow nice.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be fair, recently when I've found myself wanting to drive something, I've hopped on Euro Truck Simulator, I won't lie. Do some big journeys over to Austria. But yeah, it is just nice to get behind the wheel again. Anyone that follows my social media will have seen that I was racing last night over on R Factor 2. Not to swear on the channel, but Tim Rutten, he'll be swearing right now. That's a big clip of the wall for Tim Rutten. Interesting to see him in a Team Year 1 racing livery as well. Tim obviously previously raced for Sim Racers World Esports. He just, again, there you go, too much of that curb, carries the speed, and ends up in the wall. And that car draws attention to itself in the way it looks anyway. But now it's done that even more so. Reece Saunders, very quick driver for Team Year 1. He is currently 10th overall, 9th in the precision class. Tobias Olsen, fastest at the moment. 4 Alcantech cars in the top 5, with Bart Daleman repping Sim Racers World Esports up there. Nick Sherman's going well as well, actually. Nick Sherman's I've seen in a number of different leagues, and he's actually going quite strongly in 7th at the moment in the Sim Racers World machine. Fully black livery as well, looking fantastic. He has got the 188 right behind him. And that was Jeremy Hessels in the Dynamics Racing Gold car, but that's qualifying over Hasse. And we'll get our first grid of the day.
Very much so. Tobias Olsen on pole position for Alcantech NHR in front of Bart Damon, Kevin Semstra, and James Forstag as well. Silas Krag-Frohlag and Pete Harrod in 6th place, ahead of the aforementioned Nick Skurmans and Kevin Poon. Ryan Mikalev has the pole position in consistency, ahead of Rhys Saunders, 10th on the grid overall, then Miguel Freitas and Philip Russell. Further down we find Ben Hoffman 13th, ahead of Wayne Palmer, Hans Poelmans and Mark van Dalen. Then Victor Blick and Martin Deckens. Tim Rutten 19th, and in 20th place, that is the pole sitter in Academy, that is Matthijs Groen. Daniele Girici in 21st, ahead of Dominikas Jovaisha, and Jakub Szybanski 23rd, ahead of Steven Grabowski. 25th is Greg Parmenter and Paul Smith, joining him with a Vietnamese name, Ngoc Can Nguyen. I'm sorry, but I have I might Can Nguyen. Thank you. Yeah, that's like I usually pride myself in doing my best with the pronunciation, but I have very little experience with Asian names. Anyway, Robert Oden's 28th, ahead of Dennis Virenka and Dries Moody, and Philip Reagan in the 30s. 31st he is for XZ Racing Neon. Paul Godden 32nd. Adia Moshawala and Jürgen van der Perre, ahead of Craig Schill in 35th. Jeremy Hessels is 36th as they're lining up, and 37th and last tonight for this first heat of racing, Thijs Vandenberg.
Big old grid as well, after we used to have sort of 12 to 14 car heats last season. This makes a big change now. 37 cars lining up here. I've not seen my SDK timing screen that full for a while. Look at that grid as well. It reminds you of old school Formula 1, doesn't it? With that many cars lined up so beautifully here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. You can see the Porsche safety car in the bottom right of your screen as well. But the first race of the night is about to get underway. The lights have come on. And we're away. Plenty of smoke from the middle of the field. A poor start for Bart Daleman. He's gone completely backwards. He's been swamped by Alcantech cars. And through they all go. There's 2 Year 1 cars in the mix there as well. That's Mikalev and Reece Saunders. There's a lot of shimmying around. A few cars off the road further back. Not quite sure what's happened to, I think, Stephen Grabowski and Paul Godden started from the pit lane. And there is Grabowski. He's actually gone to the pit lane. Oh, Mikalev and Freitas are off. Mikalev and Freitas dropping down the order very quickly. They've had a coming together as well. in these opening corners. Let's have a look what happened to Ryan. Oh, Miguel's just gone late on the brakes and piled into him. Absolute disaster. But what a start, though, Hasse, for Tobias Olsen. He's opened up that gap already, and he looks very comfortable here in just the first half a lap.
We saw as well last week from Tobias is that he's very, very quick. And as he mentioned it as well when we did the interviews with him, that he sees his own consistency as his own worst enemy from time to time. And it's evident that he's able to just forge away, even here on the opening laps after a strong start indeed. And Bart Daleman, who now has to fight back, who's gaining here on Silas Crawford, like he's on the outside down towards the final chicane, and let's see if he can get the run.
Oh, tasty stuff there from the 28 of Silas Craig-Vrolick, and Bart has a bit of a wobble mid-corner. I think he might be under pressure from his teammate now, Nick Shermans as well. So the Alcantech guys, first, second, third and fifth with Pete Harrod. Interestingly enough, Pete racing for Team Mad in this championship in car 21. There he is. Now Pete races for Pure Sims as well, the team run by British Touring Car champion Ash Sutton, and does a really good job with those guys. They have become a real force to be reckoned with, getting into many of the iRacing World Championship Series events and even some of the top splits in the major events and the Endurance Series and so on. But Pete has always been close with Team Mad, and it seems that his allegiance is still slightly there with his appearance here in this championship. But this is the battle at the moment then, Bart Daleman, and now Martin Deckens, as you can see, glued to the back of Mark van Dalen. Certainly a battle for those that like to put two of the letter A next to each other in their names. But Martin climbing around at the minute. It's one of those circuits, isn't it, Hasse, where if you do make a move or if you do compromise your own line at any point, then you just ruin it for yourself and the guy you're chasing, is down the inside he goes. And this is Ben Hoffman we're on board with, but wow. Fantastic stuff by Mark van Dalen. Gets two of them in one go there at the hairpin. Hoffman now tries to defend. It's a difficult track to overtake on sometimes, though, because no matter what you do compromise yourself and others, don't you?
Yeah, very much so. And now Hoffman's going to try it around the outside. Of course, it becomes the inside for the final bit of the chicane. Oh, and someone's had to take the short way through. That's going to cost a penalty, I'm sure.
I think Deckens actually got hit there, you know. I think there was contact.
That is a good point.
We've got Dominikas Chavajza coming into the pits for XZ Racing Red, and Daniele Giudici as well. Daniele was racing with me in the touring cars last night at Croft. He's got damage all over the back of that car, I'm afraid. And he's going to have to get a fast repair and go back out now. Bart Daleman trying it on Silas Craig-Vrolick. It looks like he's got it done there. But now he's got a shorter route out of the right-hander, so he's got a slower run. Silas is carrying the speed around the outside into another chicane. Curbs are very, very important here as well. Bart hits the curb but does all right on the exit. Silas gives him room, gives him time, but now he's under pressure from Nick Shermans here, Hasse.
Yeah, indeed, and Rhys Saunders wants to get in there as well. Oh, they got very, very close and almost 3 wide. And for a moment, I actually believe they were still 2 wide into the hairpin, but Saunders is going to claim that position. Skurmans is the one who lost out, I believe, as well. And Frolic actually managed to defend itself pretty well in that situation. And I just wanted to cast our eyes back on a few incidents that we've missed. We saw Giudici in the pits. Here's that is a slam as well for the car ahead, and then goes into the wall where the damage to the back of his car came from. Robert Odoms, I'm afraid, has had a problem as well, and that's hardly a carbon, well, almost a carbon copy.
Yeah,
came to a stop. And then Paul Smith almost hitting the wall of champion, but spinning it.
He's done a good job there not to hit anything, as Paul. That's a really, really good job, because it's not often that you lose it in these cars and don't hit anything. I've not seen the Team Mad livery on the Formula 3 car before, and it looks very, very good indeed. But again, this already is highlighting what we see from this championship every single time out and what we've seen in previous seasons. No matter what the format, no matter what changes there are always cars together fighting each other on track, and it's great to see. Loads of really, really cool team names to have on our channel and have as part of Sim Racers World Leagues. And we get to see them all going head-to-head, bringing big numbers as well with all of their drivers. Hans Polmans, Hansi, a real star of Sim Racers World TV in the past. Really lovely guy as well. He's in the beautiful Flemish Sim Sports machine, chasing down the consistency class leader, Philip Russell, in Team Fordzilla. Now, Philip was in the previous season as well, and he had a very up-and-down campaign. But let's not forget, we do have the 3 classes. Jakub Szymanski, the Polish driver, is currently 18th at the moment, leading the class on. Around goes Rhys Saunders. And he's wearing a Schumacher replica helmet, from what I can see, and unfortunately, he's done almost what Schumacher did at the Wall of Champions a long time ago.
That's absolutely true. Albeit without hitting anything in the situation.
Yeah.
Still a fair few cars close at the around 8th place overall here. Of course, around the leading bit of the consistency field, if you will, the consistency class. He currently led by Philip Russell. Hans Polmans on his tail. And you mentioned it before, but we have Jakub Szymanski, the privateer, in Academy, with a healthy advantage of 5.4 seconds down to Phil Reagan. That's looking very good for him, Chess.
Yeah, nice tasty battle at the moment for them. He just needs to keep it nice and tidy. Now that, if I'm not mistaken, was a Minardi 1998 livery replica that he was driving there. And it looks very good indeed. And it is a 1998 Minardi replica. That looks really cool. I like that a lot. Big fan. Jakub's a lovely guy as well. He's always in the chat, and he's often in broadcasts that I'm commentating on as well. He's always there in the YouTube chat. Olsen does the fastest lap of the race, 1:29.7. But there are battles literally everywhere at the moment, and for once I'm not the broadcaster, so I feel sorry for you right now, Hauser, because I know how much clicking you'll be doing of all these drivers' names and all the numbers and everything that are flicking around on our timing screens, showing us how it's done. We're already over halfway through this race, but Mark Van Dalen has got some serious pressure behind him now from Ben Hoffman, another driver that's very quick in these cars. Ben, also another one that had a very topsy-turvy season last time out. He's very quick, but he just had these odd little mistakes and these little accidents with other drivers that put his season on the back foot. Good to see Ben still going hard. Here's Martin Deckens all over the back of Tim Rutten now. You get a definite reminder lap after lap what year one do as a company. And now look at the run that Deckens has got. That was a beautiful exit, wasn't it?
Perfect exit for Martin Deckens. And he just needs to get ahead and break it, but he doesn't. Oh, that's excellent driving from both of them to stay in contention. Respectful and nice, leaving plenty of space and making it possible for them both to, race on. That was very nice to see. Now a second attempt from Martin Deckens, who did get a great run into the hairpin, and I think that's going to be that. Yep.
That was really tasty.
Jess, you know as well as I do that the slipstream is massive in these F3 machines, and Tim Rutten's going to come right back at him here, and the outside's going to come the inside. So let's see who shall win out on a contest of guts there. Tim Rutten with a great braking move there, beautifully judged to take back the position, and now that leaves Martin Deckens open for more year one onslaught into turn one. Let's see. The 91 is going to try and move through, and I think, nope, it's not going to work out. And attack becomes defense, or defense becomes attack, or at least the 91 finds himself a vulnerable position there, manages to fend off Wayne Palmer in the 177. That just goes to show that if you stick your nose in and try to attack someone, it doesn't work. Oh, and there it is, the move done there on Martin Deckens.
Wow, Saunders just flung it down the inside. Great stuff, really nice move. I must admit though, Deckens' move down the inside of the hairpin the lap before was absolutely wonderful, but look at that by Saunders. He knew exactly where he wanted to put the car. Nice and smooth on the brakes. It's very easy to lock up an inside brake here, and that's what I was just going to touch on with Martin Deckens' move that we saw earlier. He really went in hot into that hairpin, and I was fully expecting him just to snatch that front right brake and go straight on and pile into the car next to him. But no. We go back forward to the front now, and this is Kevin Poohan. And he is in 8th position at the moment, but he's trying to take Silas Craig-Rollick. The two of them clinging together. There's a battle behind as well, which is Pullmans and Russell. That's for the class lead, and Pullmans has taken it. Hansy goes to the top in the consistency class. Very well done to Hans. He's not got many laps to hold on to that now, but we know that Philip Russell is a very, very feisty racer. He's going to want to take that back instantly. And Deckens is also going to want to get back ahead of Rhys Saunders. A problem for Ryan Mikalev. He's got a bit of damage on that car as well. I'm not sure whether that was from earlier on, because I think he had some troubles earlier in the race with Freitas. Or you can't bump draft in a Formula 3 car, mate. You really shouldn't be sticking your wing underneath someone else. And yes, he decides to take the smart way out of that one, which I fully agree with. But you really can't bump draft these things. You really shouldn't stick the nose under the back of another car here. I mean, I've seen it in the real world as well. Just a few weeks ago when the Euro Formula was on, when I was at the Red Bull Ring, there was drivers getting very, very antsy at each other about the fact that some of them were bump drafting each other down the straight, and it's just not safe.
Not at all in these cars. It's going to be a recipe for disaster. The low front is going to get stuck down underneath the rear of the car ahead. It's going to lift it up and remove any sort of traction over the rear. At least it takes so little before that's exactly what's going to happen. And as such, I agree, Chaz. It is not a recommended course of action. There are machines that can handle such things, and there are those that can't, and this certainly falls into the latter.
Now, looking at drivers that have had a really good race and a really good start, Jeremy Hessels is 17th at the moment, but he's gained 19 places in this race. He's absolutely on it at the moment. Dynamics Racing Gold driver, certainly going for gold. He's the biggest mover in the field by a long shot. Craig Schill in the WesTech Autosport car has gone up 13 places. And Phil Reagan has gone up 11 spots as well. So we've got some amazing drives going on. But Jeremy Hessels, what an awesome performance this is so far in the very, very pretty Dynamics machine. Now there's Nick Sherman's 6th at the moment, ahead of Silas Craig Vrolick and Kevin Powen. A little bit of a wobble there by Kevin as he goes through the left and then the right. There are so many difficult corners on this circuit, Hasser. It's not an easy one to string a lap together on, even in qualifying or a race. Oh, some mayhem further down. Robert saying, oh, damn. So Matthias Groen down the inside. Oh, the car in front of him, the 204. Oh, sorry, it's Matthias Groen that is the 204. For me, he turns in on the 213 there. It's a little bit late by Paul Godden, and then Paul gets connected with by Odoms as well in the XZ Racing Neon car. All a bit of a domino effect, really, but yeah, that's a real shame. Philip Russell has re-overtaken Hans Pullmans as well.
That's going to be an interesting one, if we can catch exactly what happened in that situation.
Hans. Now, that's interesting, because I saw the smoke earlier and I saw a little sort of skid mark on the road, and I thought, that's weird, because you don't normally get the smoke, and there was nobody around, there was nobody off the circuit and losing places. So there we go, that's that answered. But a real shame there for Hans, just a little bit early on the throttle, a little bit too eager when he chucks the car sideways. Good stuff here from Mark Van Dalen and Ben Hoffman. Some good battle in there. Ben finally ahead. Seems wherever you see a year one car, they're in a battle, aren't they, mate?
Absolutely so. They like their battling. Nice, hot, and spicy, it seems. That's how they're doing it. Martin Deckens really maximizing the track on exit there, trying to gain every possible bit. That's in pursuit of 4th in class, of course, consistency. That is a poor exit, though, for Tim Rudden. That's going to open the door for Martin Deckens. You would expect at least Deckens to be able to come up the inside. Yes, indeed.
Lovely.
Take the position there away from Tim Rudden. They've been exchanging positions back and forth throughout this opening heat. And by the way, Chaz, we're on the penultimate lap here. Tobias Olsen is 3.3 seconds ahead of Kevin Semster. It's still Alcantech 1, 2, 3. Bart Daleman, though, has come up through the class here. Is now sitting 4th. After a abysmal start, you could say. It was a rather disappointing start for him. But he's really made up amends. He's gained back a lot of that. Final lap, though, Tobias Olsen. He's flown under the radar for this first heat, but he is still leading. And what a class act he's been so far this race.
Bart Delman does the fastest lap of the race, though, 129.177. So Bart's certainly on the pace and some, but at the moment, It's not enough to get him right to the front of the pack, but yeah, you're correct. Tobias Olsen has been a star so far in this one. Really untouchable, but some of these guys get in such a rhythm in these cars that they can just break away in clear air. You know, they don't rely on slipstream or anything of that sort to have any type of advantage. This is still going on further down. Ryan Mikulev all over the back of Jeremy Hessels now. They've got Jakub Szymanski behind them, who is leading the Academy class down the inside from Mikulev. That's basically what Saunders did before, but round the outside, Jeremy Hessel says, not in your life, mate. I've gained so many positions in this race. I don't want to give one away now. Really good battle in between those guys. Now, this is the battle for third coming into the final couple of corners. Forsyth suddenly caught up very quickly by Bart Daleman. And Bart's on for a podium. Oh, Hessels has gone off the road, I think. Yeah, Jeremy Hessels has gone off the road. And Jakub Szymanski's had an issue. And he's lost the lead of his class to Phil Reagan, but across the line to take the win. Tobias Olsen wins the race. Zemstra is second. We saw nothing of him because he was just in his own world. Daleman takes third from Forsyth. But something has happened with Jakub Szymanski and Jeremy Hessels. So this is Jeremy. So he's got the year one car down the inside. Oh, he comes across a bit aggressively. Oh, and then Jakub just gets caught up in the accident. Now they need to be careful about a rejoin there. That was such a shame, man. Because what a drive from Jeremy Hessels as well. And then it all goes to pot right at the end for him. But, you know, he had the room. But I think he just came across a little bit too hard there into the corner. And then before you know it, that was that.
Let's see if we can get another look here.
So the year one car does make the apex, but he does run a little bit wide. But I think Jeremy was banking on him getting it stopped, and that was his downfall in the end. They do make a little bit more contact there, I believe. And then Jakub, he's gone away from the racing line to go to the right, and the car is still there, and he plows into the side of poor Jeremy as well. And Jakub Szymanski did such a great job all the way through that race to lead his class. But I'm afraid nothing came of it in the end, really. He eventually, just trying to see whereabouts he crossed the line by the time that was done, but the result has just disappeared off my screen. But either way, it was definitely not a class win for him. Absolutely gutting stuff. But I believe, here we go. So there it is. Tobias Olsen takes the win. Kevin Zemstra second ahead of Bart Daleman, who gets a podium after that poor start. James Forsyth is fourth ahead of Pete Harrod, who actually overcame Silas Craig Vrolik in the end. Kevin Powen is seventh ahead of Nick Shermans. Mark Van Dalen and Rhys Saunders rounds out your top 10. Wayne Palmer, Miguel Freitas and Dominikas Zawaisha finishes 13th in precision. Looking at the consistency class, Philip Russell takes the win from Hans Polman's 9/10 of a second. Another second back was Ben Hoffman, who gets a class podium ahead of Martin Deckens, Tim Rutten, Ryan Mikulev and Jeremy Hessels, with Victor Blick in 7th ahead of Paul Smith and Khan Newen. Dries Mujdi rounds out your 11-car field in the consistency class. And in the end, Phil Reagan took an 8-second victory in the Academy class ahead of Greg Parmenter and Craig Schill, who grabs a podium from right near the back of the grid. Jakub Szymanski is classified 4th ahead of Dennis Verenger. Then it's Daniele Giudici, Matthias Groen, Jürgen van der Perre. And then we have Robert Odems, Adam Ossiovala, Stephen Grabowski, Paul Godden and Thijs Vandenberger not classified at the end. But a very, very feisty first race then, Hasse. Two more of them coming up in a few minutes' time. But to be honest, what can you say other than good old Tobias at the front of the field was pretty untouchable there, wasn't he?
Absolutely so. There wasn't really anything anyone could do about that lead. He got a good start. He set off on a mission from the start, and he managed to make it stick all the way to the checkered flag. And a brilliant job indeed from Tobias, showing that he is indeed one of the top contenders for the title run in precision this season.
So here we go then. Second race of the day. Tobias Olsen starts on pole ahead of Zemstra, Daleman, Forstyke, Harrod and Silas Kradvrolik. Basically, the grid is the finishing order from the first race. Kevin Pohen, 7th, Nick Sherman's 8th, Philip Russell, 9th, and Hans Polmans rounds out your 10. We'll filter the rest of the grid through bit by bit for you just so you can have a quick look and see where your favourite drivers are. Thank you to everyone that's in the chat so far. Anton Dupin in there as well. Good to see you, mate. We hope you are enjoying the action so far. Any picks for this one, though, Hassa? Because for me, I think Olsen's going to be very hard to beat unless one of his teammates or Bart Daleman gets an absolute blinder of a start.
I think Daleman's the one to watch here because he had a poor start. If he can avoid to have that again, he will be in for a good race, I think. Fastest lap last time around, so he will be the one who can actually bring it to Tobias Olsen. He's right behind him on the grid, and I think he'll be my pick, at least in the precision class. And of course, some of the combatants from the round before are going to be close to follow as well.
Right then, lights are on and they're out already. Oh, Tobias Olsen rally crossing it off the start. We've got a car pulling over to the side. That's Javaisha in the XZ Racing red car. He's pretty much stopped at the side of the road. Not sure what's happened to him. Got a few cars blinking in and out near the front. Kevin Zemstra has gone flying down the order. He's had some sort of issue as well going into turn 1. Maybe a technical issue, something hardware related. Everybody else just jostling for position, trying to find that real estate. You've got to be so careful in these cars on opening laps. They're not touring cars. You cannot survive much contact. Oh, car around. That's a Team Mad car. It's Paul Smith. We saw him do that earlier in race 1, and he's looped it again in race 2, and he's damaged the right rear. He's ripped the suspension off it. Now, that corner, it does go downhill, doesn't it, Hasser? It's a real nightmare to get right, and when it just comes away from you like that, the rear wheels can spin up, and suddenly the car's in the wall.
Yeah, indeed, and it's so easy to do. Remember, there's no driver aids on these machines, so if you break traction, this has that tendency to snap. It's a light car, well balanced. Also a machine that, well, and that's the thing as well, because you want to be able to rotate the car. You want to be able to do so on the throttle and have a car that doesn't just plow into understeer. That's not going to be very competitive. But that does leave you with something of a lively machine. And then we've had another problem here. So to say, another incident. Oh, I'm running into back. It's going to be quite a massive pileup in the hairpin here, Chaz, I'm afraid.
Victor Blake, Jakub Szymanski caught up in somebody else's incident again. Daniele Giudici, I believe, was the other driver involved in that one. We've now got Jeremy Hessels going down the order and Miguel Freitas, so something else has kicked off. Oh, that's Adam Ossioala having a right nightmare into the chicane. So many cars all over the shop, just avoiding their own incidents. Here's what happened to Miguel Freitas. There's a car around already, and what on earth was that Year 1 car doing there? It looks like he just drove into him. So this is Mikalev getting turned around. 188 car gets contact, and then Mikalev just drives into him there. I'm sorry, but he just drives into him. You don't need to turn right hand down there. That's the last thing we want to see, is deliberately driving into people. Hello, flipping heck, Daniele Giudici going for a bit of grass tracking. Here's Tim Rutten having a problem as well. Flipping heck, they like dancing, these boys, don't they, Hassa?
Yeah, it's all over the place. I'm trying just to keep up with the action at the moment. And they're all finding it a troublesome heat indeed here. Tim Rutten having a right old fight with Dries Moody. That's for 4th place in class. Just how that's going to end up. Well, that's going to be an interesting one. Tobias Olsen, though, leads Bart Daleman by 1.2 seconds or so. And a slight spread on the top 5 in precision. Closest cars at the moment, at the top of the field at least, is Pete Harrod and Philip Russell, who's done a good job of getting onto the train of the front runners here. Then Hans Polmans on the tail of Kevin Poon, but that's a fight across classes, if you will. And this one's
Philip Russell going well, actually, in 6th place overall, isn't he? Really good stuff from him. Like you say, Polmans needs to get past Poen and crack on with it. We've got Freitas and Hoffman in the pit lane. They've obviously got damage from their own incidents. But yeah, Dries Moosdy's had a good start, and Philip Russell has chucked away his class lead. There you go, commentator's curse of the day. Oh, he needs to be so careful there. And is he just going to light up the rears? He does. Oh, if we had a quid.
Oh, you mentioned it, Chaz. It's such a difficult balance, and there's the stress of just wanting to get running again, and you can just see it's basically impossible. Philip Russell might find himself at the very far end of the field here.
Fair play to him, though, for having the patience to do that, because most drivers, out of frustration, would just plant their foot and get on with it. Got more cars going down the order. Dries Mujdi now going completely down, and he's now into the pit lane as well. We've got some 8 cars already, well, 9 or even 10 cars out of this already. Mujdi's just overdone. Oh, he's in avoidance. Wow. Who was that going through the middle there? Was that Grabowski? Stephen Grabowski got a fantastic view of that. So Hessels goes around, then Mujdi, 2 Dynamics cars, and look at that fantastic stuff through the middle. That was Grabowski, wasn't it? It just gets a front row seat of the dancing show. Thank you very much, boys. See you in a bit. Wow.
I think that was Grabowski. Yeah, I'm just trying to find his cam because I wanted to see that from Grabowski's point of view. See just what that looked like. We're gonna see if we can pull up the pictures here.
An extra chicane for Stephen Grabowski. I can't not laugh at that. I'm really sorry to the Dynamics boys because I know how frustrating that is, but that looked fantastic from where he was. Matthias Groen now having to defend very hard indeed from Tim Rutten and Stephen Grabowski. These guys all raced in the previous seasons of the Sim Racers World Formula 3 Championship and all had a very good time of it as well. Sorry, Formula 3 Series, I should say. But there are still battles everywhere you go, and there's Year 1 cars all over the place, which is becoming more and more normal. They have a lot of drivers at Year 1, and they have a lot of different talented individuals involved in their team as well. Now, Hansi is currently 7th overall. This battle's going on quite strong as well. This has just happened a bit further down. This is Philip Russell. Oh, 2 freebies. Thanks very much, boys. Well, oh no, sudden Osceola's off Iawala. At least he's not off in the Waller.
Could have been worse. It's
something. Sorry, he's had like a hardware failure or something there. Something that's he's just straight lined it on the brakes and he's still sat there.
What happened here?
Yeah, something's gone very wrong there. I think his wheel's disconnected or something. He's just slammed on the brakes. That's a real shame for Osceola. But the racing continues. And it's very frantically continuing. But Bart Daleman, while he is being very, very quick at the moment, he just cannot get with Olsen. He's 0.2 of a second slower. Bart's got a purple Sector 1 and Sector 2. Silas Craig Vrolik has got purple Sector 3. But overall, Olsen is just about matching them in each sector. He was actually identical with Bart in Sectors 1 and 3 on the last lap, but Bart was only a 10th slower in the middle sector. So they are really, really close on pace, but still Olsen has the upper hand. Now, a bit of lap traffic here for Silas Craig Vrolik and his teammate James Forsyth. Good to see James going well as well. He was racing last season for Altitude XZ Esports and really enjoyable to watch. This is Philip Russell. Seemingly out of the race. Daniele Giudici out of turn 1 and 2.
This is the situation where he passes Philip Russell, so I don't know what happened to Russell there. It seems he's blinking in and out.
So it's
connection issues for Russell here, and let's hope he lasts the heat. A bit of Alcantech NHR action here. The 28 of Kraft Forlag going head to head with James Forsyth. It's Forsyth ahead in the 52 with the purple mirrors. Seemingly Silas here gets very wide. If you say so on the exit, very close to the wall. Might have been a slight scrub indeed. Also a few close drivers here further down the field.
That's 2 of the XZ cars as well. That's Robert Odom's trying to get past Khan Newen. That's the XZ orange car against the XZ neon car. Oh, Khan just clipped the wall a little bit there. We heard the noise. It's a dead giveaway, but seems like he hasn't damaged the car at the moment. Hello. Robert Odom says, right, if you're not damaging the car, I will here. Have my brakes. But no, he doesn't pile into the back of his teammate, which is probably a good thing. And now they both managed to continue. Forsyth, though, still with his teammate right behind. Great to see Alcantech getting so many of these drivers on board. I did some work with the Alcantech guys a while ago. did some screenshots for a lot of their cars when they announced their new liveries and partnerships, and since then they've been fantastic. Kevin Zemstra said he had massive foot cramp at the start. That's a real shame, mate. I hope you're all right. It can be a sim racer's worst nightmare. I've had it before where I've gone to press the brakes and my entire left calf has just completely locked up, and anyone knows that when you get humongous cramp in your calf, it's just unbearable. I mean, cramp is unbearable anyway, but you know, in certain areas it's just a real nightmare. You get it in your ankle or just the tendons in the top of your foot. It's horrendous. So I really hope you're all right, buddy. That was close, wasn't it? Flipping heck, Silas is really scraping along those walls right now, Tony Hawk style. Oh, hello.
Oh, Mark van Dalen with a bit of a flyer.
Bit of Red Bull X fighters there.
Indeed. But again, I'm gonna wonder if it's done any damage to the car. It seems to be okay, at least judging from the outside. Rice Saunders has had an issue as well. That's another one of the Euro 1 cars. Not a great few seconds for them, as he finds himself facing the wrong way in turn 1. That's
nice recovery.
I was just about to say the exact same. That is a swift and handsome recovery indeed. Oh, and Frohlich gets very close to Forsteig in the hairpin here. He might get a very good run down towards the final chicane. I'm about to say earlier, as I think I got cut off by an overtake or an incident or whatever piece of action that we've seen such an amount of here tonight, that the slipstream is indeed strong in these cars. Not quite strong enough here for Silas Frohlich, but he's very close, being able to be within striking distance here. Here, watching his teammate, hoping for opportunities to arise.
Olsen is absolutely flying, 0.4 of a second faster than Bart Delman on that previous lap, and a new outright fastest lap of the race. He's now 2.3 seconds clear of Bart Delman, who is 3 seconds clear of this fight that we're watching right now between the two teammates. They are going absolutely hammer and tongs, though. It's great to watch. These guys getting the most that they can out of the cars. Bart having some connection issues again, it seems. Does show that he's out of the race and going down the order, but hopefully he will reappear up in second place. We've seen him do it a few times previously, but that to me at the moment looks like it's quite a terminal one, so we'll have to wait and see. Suddenly that battle for the final podium position could be the battle for second place, if I'm honest with you, as everybody now flies past Bart on the timing screen. They're side by side then as Craig Rollick comes down the inside into the hairpin. It was almost like Gilles Villeneuve and Didier Pironi coming around the corner there in the two Ferraris. But no, nothing doing there. Great pace carried around the outside by Forsteig, and I think genuinely that we have actually lost Bart Delman from this race now, Haas, so that's a real shame. That
is such poor luck for Bart. We're looking good for a strong finish here in a podium position.
Oh, there you go. Still as Craig Rollick gets it done, but he has a wobble on the exit. Forsteig has to go to the left. And now he's crowding his teammate over to the right-hand side. These guys, I tell you what, it's great to see teammates fighting one another, because you know a lot of the time they'll be communicating. So if one of them is running wide, he'll say, I am running wide, I'm going a little bit deep. His teammate will be able to adapt to that. And look at that from Forsteig, around the outside of turn 2, gets the position back. This is right, this actually is like Villeneuve and Pironi back at Imola way long ago. I think it was 1982, or even earlier than that, actually. But this is great to watch between these pair. Look at that. Craig Rollick on the right-hand side. Lovely stuff late on the brakes. Forsteig just concentrates on his own line. Here's the wobble. Forsteig gets on with it on the left-hand side. Doesn't get much of a run on him. He's got a little bit, but then as they sweep round here, he manages to keep it alongside through the left. And you'll see now as Silas is crowded to the inside, has to hold that inside line. James is just able to follow all the way around and get the power down nicely. Great view there as well. Thank you, Hasse. But James Forsteig certainly earning his place at the team and having a great old scrap with his teammate. Lovely stuff.
Indeed, that's what we want to see. And you mentioned it before, the fact that when we see teammates race like this, they first of all, of course, have the opportunity to communicate with one another and actually communicate, not just communicate with the cars, what you'd often call communicating with one another and racing, but also just to see that maybe that little bit extra respect, that little bit extra, giving that little extra space. I could have counted 3-4 situations where both of them could have maybe squeezed the other one a little more if they wanted to really make that overtake stick, but they've kept it very gentlemanly, and in turn given us a great show after the last few laps here. And yet again, Chaz, we're on the penultimate lap before we even know it here. These 20-minute heats, or 20-minute or so, 11 laps it is for this one. It's going to be a little bit less than 20 minutes, but it passed through so quickly indeed.
Yeah, it really does fly by. And it just, again, highlights how much fun we have in these races. It's awesome to watch. And these drivers, whether they're teammates or not, they certainly go hard and fight each other, and it provides us with great entertainment. James Forsythe, though, sort of showing a bit more pace right now. Here's Philip Russell. He, had some sort of failure there. That's huge. Really not sure what happened to Philip Russell. You could see suddenly the wheels straightened up as well after he'd had the incident. Almost instantly straightened up, so that is a hardware failure for him. And there's been more and more of that, that I've seen recently. I know that a lot of these hardware manufacturers do an incredible job, and the kit they have is insane. There's so many sim racing companies that do wheelbases and pedals and shifters and all sorts now, but I am seeing more and more hardware failures as things go on. It's something that I'm not really confident about, to be honest, but I have noticed that there is a bit of a rise in it. Now, rather than just second and third that we were looking at before, as pointed out by Hassa there, fourth and fifth, Harrod and Pohen are quite close as well. Polman's is now only 2 cars ahead of Martin Deckens, with Nick Sherman's between them. We look at Deckens now. Whoa, hello. Matthias Groen getting very, very friendly there with Dennis Virenga.
That's for the class lead, by the way.
It is.
Sorry, it's a cut in.
No, it's all well and good. These guys, actually, Matthias Groen has gained 16 places. Dennis has gained 13. Grabowski's gained 19. Karl Newen behind them's got 19. Robert Odoms has got 15. And Daniele Giudici's gained 10. These guys are absolutely on a mission in this race, and they're still fighting as well. Jakub Szymanski trying to recover after his earlier incident. I think it's, would it be Esteban Tuero that he'd be replicating right now? What a fantastic name that was. Forsythe still having to defend from his teammate, but Tobias Olsen's about to take a win already, Hassa. This race, again, has flown by, but look at this guy. 8 seconds clear of his teammate, and it's just untouchable stuff. It's almost like Adrian Falcon in previous seasons. Tobias Olsen takes his 2nd win of the night. Beautiful, beautiful stuff by the Alcantech NHR by SimLab driver. And we have one of his teammates, Alcantech by SimLab's Silas Kragvrolic, is going to be 3rd, but James Forsythe beats him to the line in the Alcantech NHR by Nyman Racing Machine. Pete Harrod, a rather under the radar 4th place, but Handsome Pete does a good job. Kevin Pohen 5th, and Hans Polmans takes a class win in consistency, and doesn't he know it? Martin Deckens, a good 8th place for him, and Matthias Groen is going to take the class win in Academy. And interestingly enough, Dennis Virenga has had a crash and stopped. So I'm not quite sure what's happened there.
Jump to the pits, and we're going to have a look at it here. Whoa. That's a massive one. Huge shunt for the 298. And let's see if we can recall it from a little earlier.
Oh, he's gone around. Oh, and as he saved it, he's hit the wall, and there's nothing Grabowski could have done there. It did start to go around on him, and he just overcorrected it, I'm afraid, and that is that. That was a humongous hit into the wall.
That's such a piece of bad luck, indeed.
Grabowski, I really feel for in that one there. He just had nowhere to go. And before you knew it, the car was absolutely buried in the side of him. And there it is then. Tobias Olsen takes the win. 9.2 seconds in the end over James Forsythe. Silas Kragvrolic gets a podium. 3 Alcantech cars on the podium, although seemingly Silas can't spell his team name. Pete Harrod 4th. Kevin Pohen is 5th, ahead of Nick Shermans and Reece Saunders. Then it's Wayne Palmer and Miguel Freitas. Bart Delman is classified 4 laps down. Mark Van Dalen and Kevin Zemstra 5 laps down. And then Dominikas Jovaiša is 13th after pulling over at the very start. Not sure what happened there. Hans Polmans takes the win in consistency, just over half a second ahead of Martin Deckens. Then Tim Rutten gets a class podium for Team Year 1 Racing. Then it's 2 XZ Racing cars, Carl Newen and Ben Hoffman, ahead of Victor Blick and Ryan Mikulev, counted 1 lap down after his incident near the start of the race. I imagine he'll be getting a slap on the wrist from the organisers at best. Dries Moujdi is 8th ahead of Paul Smith, also a lap down. Same with Philip Russell as well after his big incident. And Jeremy Hessels is classified 10 laps down after his accident earlier on in the race. And then the Academy class won by Matthias Groen, 8.3 seconds clear of Robert Odoms, and Daniele Giudici gets a class podium in the 244 car. Stephen Grabowski is ahead of Jakub Szymanski, who eventually gets 5th in class. Jürgen van der Peer is in 6th ahead of Paul Godden, Greg Parmenter and Dennis Verenga. Then we have Craig Schill and Phil Reagan joining him 1 lap down. Adam Ossioala 8 laps down, and Thijs van den Bergen, unfortunately, 11 laps down at the very bottom of the field. A bit more attrition in that one that time round, House. So there are a lot going on, a lot of incidents, but even drivers with hardware failures, disconnections, and all sorts. It was all kicking off there.
Very much so, and I was just looking for the words there for once in a while, but a fair few too many incidents. That was what I wanted to say. Indeed, it's never nice to see it happen the way it did here, but it's of course a part of racing, especially when you have a field this large. Indeed, almost 40 cars with open wheelers. It doesn't take much contact for it doesn't become troublesome. So with that said, though, it's still some absolutely fantastic racing in there as well, and 11 laps flown by in the blink of an eye.
It certainly did, and for this man, I imagine it felt like a bit longer than 11 laps, but Tobias Olsen was very untouchable in those opening 2 races. We of course have the 3rd race coming up very soon, but Alcantech showing that they mean business in this championship. And to be honest, even partway through last season, I had a lot of their guys in the YouTube chat saying, yeah, we're going to come into this and we are going to aim to do very, very well indeed. And they certainly meant it. Pete Harrod going well as well tonight so far in the Team Mad Machine. Pete's a really, really top guy, like I've said. Feels very, very... lives very, very close to me. And he's a very good friend of mine, but great to see him still going well in this car as well. I've not really seen him in cars like this before, but the new Team Mad livery looking absolutely spot on the Formula 3 Dallara, or the F, I think it's called, is it called the F317 or something like that, the full name for it? But either way, looking very good indeed. But again, it's a very difficult combo. It's a really interesting track to drive when you drive it on your own, but when you have to adapt your racing lines around here and avoid the curbs and all sorts, it can be a real pain in the backside, can't it?
Very much so, and it's often the case with the best drivers' track is that they're often also quite hard to race on, and I think it's the case for this one as well here in Montreal, that the margins are thin, and it's in many ways also one of the few remaining really old school tracks that gets the visit from the Formula Series as well in life still, as it's got all these walls in such close proximity to the grey stuff. So as with so many of the other old school tracks, there are not that many there aren't that many left by now, and it's of course much to do with safety, but any mistake here will basically be punished, and we've seen that on numerous occasions as well, which I think has a lot to say when counting in the attrition rate in the end.
Yeah, that's it. It's a lot of patience is required around here, to be honest, and a lot of the drivers are trying to send it down the inside, and we've seen some beautiful moves. Let's face it. I mean, earlier on, I think it was it Martin Deckens went down the inside into the hairpin, and it just looked to me like he was just going to snatch that front right wheel, that tiniest little bit, and go straight on into the car that he was overtaking. But he was oh so smooth on the brakes, got it stopped just in time, and had a fantastic run on the exit, nice and clean. And you know, there are a lot of drivers giving each other all the room they need, and that's exactly what we want to see for the remainder of tonight, and of course the remainder of the series.
Very much so. And speaking of the remainder of tonight, Chas, you segue me perfectly into the fact that we will be taking a short break, join the lobby, the server, of the final race, the feature race of tonight. Gonna be a slight bit longer, and therefore, obviously, a slight bit better. Don't go anywhere, except maybe for grabbing snacks or doing whatever necessary business you have. Maximum 5 minutes. Hasse Rømer, Chas Draycott. Bye. And with that, we're back for the final round of action for tonight here from the SRW F3 series. Of course, sponsored by Sim Stickers. My name is Hasse Rømer and I'm joined by the brilliant Chas Draycott. Or actually, Chas is joined by me, I guess. But it's a little bit of a different constellation here tonight, isn't it, Chas? I've been used to being sort of on main comms duty as well as doing broadcast and trying to cut through the pictures. And actually, it's really cool to have that sort of a little bit more freedom to have a look at what's happening on track and cue the replays. And I'm doing my best to keep up. There's a lot of stuff to keep up with here tonight. That's just in turn. The action has been great, but it's really fun to do this stuff as well this way.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's great to have it, and there's so many cars to look at here as well. And we've got a very interesting format because we still get some what I'd call proper length races. You know, they're not short races here. They're not sort of like 5 or even like 6 lap sprints or quick dashes like we've had before. I mean, last season what we tended to do was we would have heats where we only had, say, 11 or 12 drivers, and then eventually that would all add up to a grid that we'd have in a feature at the end of the night. And it was amazing fun to watch, but we have a lot of cars on track all of the time here in each individual race. So we've always got somewhere to look and always got something to enjoy. So bring it on, because it's fantastic to watch so far. And we're about to get into the third and final race of the night.
Yeah, a bit of lone qualifying to come, and it due to a bit of to say technical issues. I've been having problems with my streaming software that even though my internet connection is just fine, doesn't want to send any data onto the stream. Obviously, as you can imagine, that's not gonna work very well, and I've been trying to find a solution. I haven't been able to so far, which is very, very nice, isn't it? But anyway, that meant that we didn't really get the time to go through the standings, which is where I was going with all this, which I will quickly do, because we do have these beautiful standings provided by Bart Daleman, of course. But the results and such from the last round, to take in Mark Fletcher, who isn't here tonight, leading the standings. That's going to be in the hands of Tobias Olsen. I think I can say to say after tonight. Bart Daleman will be very annoyed about his disconnect, because he would have been looking good otherwise. And Miguel Freitas is up there as well, as you can see. And of course, then a 10-second time penalty as well from round 1A to Kevin Kuhn, and that's supposedly Stewart's decision for causing an avoidable incident. Consistency.
Just an update quickly, sorry, on Mark Fletcher's away playing golf.
Oh,
so
he's away playing golf.
I think he's got his priorities all wrong.
I was just about to say, doesn't sound like the worst way to spend your Thursday night, but at the other, on the other hand, I think I would rather be sim racing. But
IOP ends the day 10 over par.
I'm not the man to ask about this, Chas, because I would rather play mini golf than proper golf.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Get me to that windmill, lad.
Exactly, that's beautiful. Anyway, consistency seems Tim Rutten, lead ahead of Ryan Mikulev and Wayne Palmer. They're in third place, have been quite consistent. Reese Moody in fourth, ahead of Philip Russell, Martin Deckens, and Joel Erlenbrook, with Hans Pullmans, Hoffman, and Paul Smith rounding off the top 10. Few penalties and a few Q2 bans will be seeing taken into effect in this very qualifying session. So Taylor Lane, Ben Hoffman, Stephen Wolf, Joel Erlenbrook, and Martin Deckens will all be starting from the back. I think Stephen Wolf and Joel Erlenbrook knocked here for tonight, but certainly Martin Deckens, Taylor Lane, and Ben Hoffman is going to hit by that hammer. Luis Correa did well, picking up, did very well. That's very modest of me to say so. I think 3 out of 3 and 78 points. That's a maximum with fastest lap points as well for him, ahead of Phil Reagan, Danny Marenga, and Paul Garden. Then Grabowski in 5th place, ahead of Adam Oshiwala, Jens Husen, Craig Gilles, Jakob Szymanski, and Jürgen van der Peer. Greg Parmenter, Robbie Odoms, and Matthijs Groen, with Guiducci and Thijs van den Berger as well, still to pick up their first points. I say that, they've picked up points today, of course. They didn't do so last week. And also a few penalties and Q2 bans to take notice of there for Thijs van den Berger, who actually did have one for Q1 and Q2 as well. And Susan Guiducci and Robert Odoms is in the same boat with him for Q2 here. Then a 10-second time penalty. That is to Jens Hussens from round 3A. Just a quick look at the team standings after the first 3 rounds as well, with Year 1 leading Dynamics Racing Silver, Sim Stickers, Alcantech, NHR by SimLab, and Team Mad. And that's rounding off the top 5 only. And of course, no team side penalties, which would be a weird thing indeed. And with that said, that's the standings done as well.
It's very, very close at this early stage, obviously. Plenty for these drivers to prove a point on. They can all do so much in terms of these playoffs. And then don't forget, they get a chance to do it all again. So we have the playoff A, which is the first 4 weeks of the season. And then we have a little break, and then we come back. The drivers all get their scores from the first 4 weeks. And then basically, the second set of 4 weeks, playoff B, gives them a chance to beat the score that they got in the first set. So if they want to give it another go, they can see what they can manage. And then they're all ranked, obviously, based on their scores at the end. Whichever of the higher scores is from those 2 sets, they then get that into the final 2 race meetings as their championship points to start with. And then they go for the title in the last 2 race meetings. On board with James Forsyth, then he had a couple of moments on his lap around here. And where's he going to end up? Bart Delman, importantly, is second fastest. He can't go as quick as Olsen. Forsyth goes up to 5th with a 1:30.497. But Olsen at the moment some 3/10 quicker than Bart Delman. Freitas third. That's good for Miguel. He's very, very quick as Miguel. Look at Forsyth really wrestling this thing now. Absolutely flinging it around. And that's the thing, actually, Hasse. A lot of the time iRacing is criticised for the fact that once the cars are going, they are going. But these F3 cars, you know, we've seen a lot of drivers get a big, big slide on and manage to save it, haven't we?
Yeah, indeed. And I think that's also due to some of the recent updates in tire models, which really have been making it better. I feel like many of the cars that's gotten these tire model updates have become much more progressive to drive, and I think the new Porsche Cup machine is a very good example of that. I've been sideways in a way that I have never been able to do before in iRacing. Slip angles of 30-40 degrees, which you just easily, or not easily, but which you recover, and it feels fantastic. And really, as the tire models improve, it seems that the sim just gets better and better, which is something we've talked about before as well, Chaz. The fact that this is what you get with iRacing. This is what you get with the business model and the subscription model as well. The continuation of development and the perfecting of something. Instead of just having to invent everything anew or just taking something and building on, this is like a continual development. As James Forsyth comes across the line, I think he will not be completely happy with his qualifying, finishing 9th, just to round off. That's something that I feel like doesn't always get enough appreciation, and it's surely a reason that iRacing is what it is, and it's one of the parts and one of the things that really make it special.
Yeah, for sure. You know, iRacing gets a lot of stick, I won't lie. You know, I cover a number of things across all the different sims that we have available to us, and one of the things that really annoys me most is, you know, the harder work that iRacing put into all of their tracks, all of their cars. You know, they're all laser scanned. It's not just like let's just turn it into a 3D model and make it look similar, and let's just make up the physics for it. You know, they all use the real data that these cars put out. That's why they take so long to make, and that's why they are so hard for them to get absolutely right with what they do with the sim. But it's when they bring something new out and they announce something, and it's, you know, it's amazing news, you know, when they're bringing out newer cars and they're doing them more up to date, because for a while the cars have been a little bit out of date here and there. You know, when we get announced that we're getting a new car, it's usually already like 2 or 3 years old, and it's a bit like, well, no, it's not new. But it's just people demanding more and more in the chat that they wouldn't have even bothered to look at yet. You know what I mean? They are up against it a lot of the time, but I think the stuff they do is absolutely brilliant, and people need to be patient with them. Patience is the aim of the game here as well tonight, though, and Rhys Saunders has actually qualified second on the grid for this final race, which is awesome for him. Miguel Freitas is going to be third and Bart Delman fourth. There's a number of drivers in the middle of the field that are putting everything on the line for this final qualifying session, and it's worked. Ryan Mikulev is actually the fastest consistency driver, and before the second consistency driver, Jakub Szymanski, is actually gone 13th fastest in the academy class as well. Well, first in academy, sorry, 13th overall. So it's going really, really well for them. For those guys, I should say. Can't get my words out tonight.
Wow, that's a feeling we all know from time to time, certainly. But it's impressive to see how the mix of the classes is. Of course, as we would expect, there is a collection of precision drivers at the front of affairs. But actually, it hasn't been all that divided between the consistency and the academy drivers. And that says something about the fact that, of course, a lot of these drivers will feel like they have the space to improve as well, and the sort of framework to improve upon as well in the realms of the series, where you can progress through the ranks, basically up through the classes, and work your way up as you improve and become better, which is something I personally really like.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know, a lot of these drivers as well, almost like drivers in the real world sort of formula categories, they're here to prove a point. You know, they want to show everybody that they can do something really, really good with these cars, and especially when it's fixed setup as well. Everybody's in the same car, everybody's on the same setup. You know, there's no team with like a golden setup that's just going to make them all faster than everybody. It's the fact that this is really down to the driver. Obviously, a lot of it is down to driver preference. The setup might not work for some of these guys, but that's why it mixes it up a little bit. And we see a really level playing field with what the talent can show us here. But here is the grid then for the final race of the night. It's the 9s and the 1s on the front row. Tobias Olsen, car 19, ahead of Rhys Saunders, car 91. Then Miguel Freitas, car 99, is third. I'm going to fly through the rest because they're getting on the grid very quickly. It's Bart Delman alongside him. Row 3 is Silas Craig Vrolik and Kevin Zemstra. Then it's Nick Shermans and Dominikas Jovaisa, who qualifies well in 8th. James Forstyke 9th. Ryan Mikalev, highest consistency driver, in 10th. Pete Harrod and Mark Van Dalen then make up the 6th row. Then it's Szymanski alongside Polmans, Groen and Poen. And then it's Rutten alongside Russell, Godden and Palmer make it a Sim Stickers row 10. Phil Reagan is 21st ahead of Victor Blick. Then it's Karn Newen and Jurgen van der Peer in 24th. Behind him is Dennis Verenga in 25th. Then it's Paul Smith with him. Adam Osiawala 27th and Greg Parmenter. Then it's Craig Schill and Ben Hoffman rounding out the 30. Martin Deckens is 31st ahead of Dries Mujdi. Daniele Giudici 33rd. Robert Odoms 34th. And Stephen Grabowski is 35th. So we've got 2 cars less in this than we had in the first 2 races, Hasse. But we've got a few different names near the front compared to the first pair of races. So let's have a look here then. I'm going to say, I think Tobias Olsen's going to be very difficult to beat after the first 2 races. But you've got to say Saunders could be up there with him. What do you reckon?
Saunders could very well be up there with him after a strong qualifying. Surprised, to say the least, to see Saunders and Freitas up there all of a sudden. Daleman might just be, well, hoping that his connection lasts, first of all, and then disappointed with his second heat. Of course, every chance still for Bart Daleman to make amends well. Then James Forstyke, who's been running well, I think, as I said before, will be a little bit disappointed with starting 9th.
Let's see what Olsen can do then. Final race of the night gets underway from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and it's another great start. Really good getaway by Rhys Saunders as well. Freitas goes pretty steady off the start. Daleman stays there with him. Silas Craig Vrolik's on the inside as well. Daleman's then on the inside of Freitas, but looking further down the order, it's nice and tidy by everybody else. Can't see anyone dropping down yet. A little bit of 3-wide action in there. That's 2 of the Dynamics cars right together. Dynamics Racing Silver, Martin Deckens and Dries Mujdi. I think everybody got through safely. I think Stephen Grabowski and Daniele Giudici had an issue. Oh, we've got cars off Craig Schill and Martin Deckens going around at the back of the field by the look of it. A real nightmare for the WesTech Autosport driver, but everyone at the front end at least. Oh no, around goes the Year 1 car. And oh, straight back across the track as well. That's Ryan Mikalev. Wow, he slammed on the brakes and the car just slid back across. It looks like he's managed to get away with that without any damage, but wow, that was a scary, scary moment there, especially for the guys behind him as it all checks up. I think Ruben Mikalev has got damage. The car didn't seem to want to behave itself there, did it?
No, I would be surprised if he got away with that one, but he seems to be charging on. On the outside of the 177, he's going to be going for it into the hairpin regardless.
Pushing hard, isn't he? Absolutely not giving it any... There's no sort of rest with Ryan Mikalev. Third place then is Miguel Freitas at the moment. He's got Silas Craig Vrolik behind him. Then Bart Delman is in 5th. So these guys currently only having a slight shuffle as Silas goes flying past Miguel Freitas. Not quite sure what Miguel was doing there. I think maybe he just thought, I'm not going to bother defending from this guy. Maybe he thinks he's quicker than him and he's just going to try and stick it behind him and hold the position. Here's an issue further down for Daniele Giudici. I think he's already got damage in the right rear. Oh, and he's clipped the curb. Car's gone sideways. Not sure if there was more contact after that. Carl Newen has just had an off as well. And we've got Tobias Olsen still leading the race from Rhys Saunders. Still has Craig Vrolick. Oh, and that's what happened to Craig Gilles. Craig got collected. And, oh, we've got a friend in the gravel with him as well. That was Daniele Giudici, and that's where the damage came from. Hans Polman's leading the consistency class. Jakub Szymanski leading the academy class. And those two are 12th and 13th respectively as well. They are right together on track. Then it's Russell, consistency. Then it's Matthias Groen, academy. Oh, big send down the inside. And, well, it's Ryan Mikulev. Chucks it up the inside, and that really hasn't worked for him, and it's broken the rear suspension there, Hasse.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. A wheel-to-wheel contact. It's really something to avoid. Goes for all open wheelers. Oh, and look at that. That's Freitas losing another position there to Bart Daleman this time around. He gets a poor exit. I reckon Freitas got some damage or something. He seems to be a little bit off the pace of the other top-end competitors here.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it is, but when he gets to like a top-end bit of a straight, the car just doesn't seem to go anywhere. Dominicas has just gone off the road, I think. And yes, there he goes. Coming back on the XZ Racing red car. I think he might have gone straight on at turn 1 and then tried to recover. Gets back on with it now. We'll see here. Does he get any assistance? Oh, yeah, it turns in big time. The year 1 car going deep into the corner. That was Mark van Dalen. And to be honest, a bit of 50-50 that one for me, but they've got Pete Harrod up there now trying to go with them. Pete didn't qualify as well as he would have wanted either. He was down in 11th place. And now he's up to 8th position after gaining 3 places off the start. Mark van Dalen has done the same, but now that's going to be 2 because James Forsythe is going to try and come through as well. On the left-hand side he goes. Is there enough room there? Mark says no. Mark goes a little bit hot into the hairpin, defends it well though, and now Hans Polmans, who is leading the consistency class, trying to come through. Now, Hans needs to be careful here because he doesn't want to throw away this class win, but he's got all of these precision drivers around him. Here's Jurgen van der Peer. He's fighting with Philip Russell and then Phil Reagan in front. Oh, Philip Russell's car's very broken. Look at that.
Oh my word. I wonder what happened to Phil there. That looks...
That's unorthodox, isn't it?
Rather, yeah. But he's able to crawl it back to the pits, it seems. He's losing positions. It's well done to keep it running for so long, but it's also a bit of a dangerous one to play. Obviously, didn't seem like the crowd was crabbing too much in the situation, but...
Yeah, the right pair of wheels just look like they've been caved in a lot. I think he's just clipped a wall or something. Oh, just like that, says James Forsythe.
Yeah, what a way just to show an example of what might have happened to what we saw before there. Forsythe gets a great run on nice. Van Dalen. He has to get this move done this time around.
He wants to go after Pete Harrod as well, so he doesn't want to let Pete get away from this too much. Great stuff from Forsythe there. Oh, we've got Dennis Varenga dropping down the order as well, a little bit further back now, I'm afraid. He's still off the road. He's still losing bucket loads of time, but good stuff by Forsythe. Oh, this is what happened to Dennis then. This is the aftermath. So I think he's maybe done it on his own, maybe had a bit of contact. I think he had a moment here as well, you know. Yeah, he did. He had a lock-up and went off. I thought there was a bit of smoke when we saw Philip Russell coming in, but it manages to continue. And then his issues just got worse further around the lap. So can Forsythe stay with Harrod? Hello. Can Jurgen van der Peer stay away from whichever car has just hit him? He's in a bit of a sandwich right now. He's got Wayne Palmer, the next car, back after this, but that in front of him is Hoffman and Matthias Groen. And it's Hoffman looking down the inside, wearing his usual Sebastian Vettel replica helmet, which the German driver wears a lot. Matthias Groen, he's a driver that's really grown in terms of his time on Sim Racers World TV. He's really improving time after time whenever I see him as well. But this is a good battle further up now. Mark van Dalen trying to stay with James Forsythe because he leaves this battle. Hans Polman's behind, still leading the consistency class. Then it's Dominicas Javaisha who I'm probably butchering his name to be fair, but he's 12th overall. Now he qualified 8th on the grid, so he's dropped a couple of positions here. He had a DNF in race 2. It's not been the most straightforward at nights for him. But it's tough when you're in this part of a race, because obviously it's a much longer race here as well, 21 laps. When you're in this situation and you've got cars all around you, you have to be incredibly consistent while trying to push to catch the car ahead. It's almost like when you're in a nose-to-tail train touring car style, trying to attack and defend at the same time, but the only thing you're attacking and defending is the lap times. Now, speaking of attacking and defending, Freitas is trying to defend from Zemstra, who's attacking now, Hasse.
Yeah, very much so, and Zemstra also has a little bit to make up for after DNF.
Foot cramp.
Yeah, after foot cramp, which is something that that I've luckily never experienced, at least not while sim racing. I've tried it many times on the bicycle, especially my own days of racing bikes, and that is not a nice thing. I can safely say that
God, yeah.
Having a cramp in your leg and 40 kilometers left to ride is
To be fair, forget the cramp and just say I've got 40 kilometers left to ride. That's a bad day for me, to be honest with you. But no, I totally agree. You know, Kevin, a bit to make up for, because obviously the championship is competitive with this. Every single race matters. You know, you can't have one single bad result here, especially with how the points work as well. You need to get those really consistent results in just at least one set of these playoffs. So hopefully for Kevin, he can continue to do that. Miguel Freitas going well for points right now. But this is the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. This is Rhys Saunders with Bart Delman and Celeste Craig Vrolick all over the back of him. Slipstreaming once again down towards the final chicane.
And what might save Bart Delman here is the fact that he has the slipstreamers Rhys Saunders, but as you can see, it's probably not going to be enough. A little bit surprising to see Vrolick go for the outside, but that's of course because it becomes the inside for the second part of chicane, and it's the part of it that doesn't face the wall. Although he gets rejected by Bart Delman, who does a sterling defense of his own here in the 24 car up ahead now. Vrolick comes back onto turn 1. He does have a bit of overlap there, and not enough to get his nose in on Bart Delman. And all the while, Rhys Saunders will be licking his lips, I believe, in just that little bit of peace of mind that always brings itself to a car in front when the cars behind start squabbling about.
Yeah, it certainly makes your life easier when you can see that the guys that are chasing you, if they're potentially quicker than you, if they start fighting, it is such a godsend, honestly. I've had many a situation where I've got lucky with a reverse grid or something, and I've had faster drivers coming up behind me, and I've just thought, please, will you just fight with each other and just distract one another? Leave me alone. And that is exactly what Rhys Saunders wants right now. Of course, that doesn't take away from the fact that Tobias Olsen is 3.9 seconds clear at the very front of the field, but we've got these great battles still going on further down. Dominikas Javaisa trying to stay with and overtake Hans Polmans, but no, an issue for Dominikas there. And away he goes, way off the back of Hans Polmans now. And to be honest, that's what Hans needed. We just spoke about the car behind sort of losing a bit of time. Hans Polmans needed exactly that. But look at Rhys here. Rhys is properly under pressure from Bart Delman.
Yeah, indeed. And here goes Delman to...
lovely.
Beautiful move by Bart Delman.
But Rhys gets a run. Rhys has got a good run out of the chicane, though. Bart really did well to hold it there. Wow, okay, Rhys. He nearly ended up in Florida then when he went out to the left-hand side.
I was just about to say something about that. I think he had a run there. I think he had an actual chance. Had he put a little bit less input into the steering wheel, that wouldn't have scrubbed off as much speed, and he could actually have gotten a bit of an overlap there. Might have just been wanting to pressure Bart Delman a bit now, but he's falling into the clutches of Silas Vrolick, and that might become a bit of a problem for him here, because Bart Delman does look a little bit faster. We know Bart Delman's pace from the opening 2 rounds as well. Did do run well indeed, so just how Rhys Saunders is going to play this one. It's going to be an interesting one to follow here on lap 8 of the 21 we have to run here in the feature race.
It's a nice long race as well, so these guys have got to really keep their concentration, look after their tyres wherever they can throughout this race. There's a lot more to it than the quick sprint races that you often see, and it means that some of the drivers have a bit of a mixed bag of talent that they have to bring to the table here. You know, they have to be versatile. They have to be able to perform over a longer race rather than just a solid sprint to the end. This is Paul Smith with fellow namesake Paul Godden, just going down the inside through to the right-hander there. That is for 23rd position, or 22nd position, I should say. Here's Phil Reagan having an issue in the XZ Racing Neon car. So easy to do that. Just overdoes it on the way into the chicane, and I believe, yeah, he lost a position to Jurgen van der Peer. Here's Esteban Tuero. I mean, Jakub Szymanski having an issue at the hairpin. Facing the wrong way. That's what Minardi's used to do quite well, to be honest. Paul Smith, though, now down to 24th position. Now Carl Newen has got past him. And Rhys Saunders is suddenly under pressure again from Silas Craig-Vrolic. And Silas, to be fair, when he wasn't crashing into his teammates last season, he was actually very, very quick. And again, he's always a driver that's up there by the look of it.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed, he seems to lack that final percent or two, and that's about it. Excellent defense, by the way, from Rhys Saunders. As I say that, he goes across the grass, and they need to be careful here. Sebastian Vettel got a very controversial penalty for that exact move as he squeezed Lewis Hamilton up against the wall a few years ago. In the bigger Formula machines, here's Martin Deckens on Tuero. He's going to get past the Minardi.
Oh, there were some brilliant names in that Minardi. Shinji Nakano as well. Hendrik de Grave in the chat has mentioned Gaston Mazzacane. Now, Gaston Mazzacane raced for Prost in 2001, and that is a name, I think he raced with, was it Luciano Berti? No, Berti raced for, I think, Arrows, but yeah, there's names like that you often forget. Gaston Mazzacane. I used to always run as him in F1 2001. Flipping heck, there's a name I never thought I'd hear. But yes,
and another driver who, I'm sorry, Jess, but another driver who raced for Minardi as well, Fernando Alonso. Very early days as well. Indeed, in a car looking very much like this one.
Now, I'm going to put, obviously, it's going to be a bit easier for people in the chat because they can Google it, but can you remember Fernando Alonso's teammate in 2001?
Well, I cannot.
It's another one of my favourite names, Tarso Marquez.
Oh, yeah.
Tarso Marquez. What a guy. And yes, Gaston Mazzacane did actually also race for Minardi in their bright greeny yellow, almost year one like 2000 car, the Telefonica livery.
Chess, there's been something of an incident here, I think, that might change the complexity of the race. Oh no, that's before. That's Rhys Saunders who lost that position. How come he's back ahead of Vrolic? I will see.
Interesting moment. This is the thing, we often get this. Like as soon as we think a battle is done, a driver will just pull it out the bag again, and suddenly they'll swap back around. But either way, Rhys Saunders now third place, and back in front of Silas Craig-Vrolic. So Silas says, "Oh, well, there he goes." Oh, you know what that was? That was Button on Vettel, wasn't it? End of the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix. That was Button on Vettel. I've never seen anybody replicate it like that, especially not in the dry. But yeah, Silas Craig-Vrolic, unfortunately, throwing away third position there. Now he's got to do all the work over again.
Absolutely so. They've not been making it easy for themselves, though. What they have been giving is Kevin Semstra the chance to actually get back in here, and Mikkel Freitas as well is not too far back. Mind you, we still have 10 laps left of this about 30-minute or 21-lap affair. And our wonderful Thursday evening of F3 action here on Sim Racers World TV, of course, brought to you by Sim Stickers, your #1 supplier of stickers for sim racing purposes. And to be a little bit more precise with that, Chess, that is, of course, if you, say, own a or a button box or something like that, Sim Stickers does indeed provide some excellent quality and some very beautiful, and the action is happening while I'm doing some advertising here. I will do it quickly. Go to the link in the description to see more. Because we do have some stuff to cover here, Chess.
I was going to say, well, to be honest, normally it's Silas Craig-Vrolic crashing into his teammates, but this time Kevin Zemstra nearly went into the back of him, to be honest with you. It's well, they're not in fiercely forward liveries anymore. Oh, Silas straight on and into the pits he goes. Olsen is pitting as well, very early actually. One of the first guys to come in. Another name I've just mentioned in the chat for the archive of F1 drivers everybody forgot about, Enrique Bernaldi. was one. Zoltan Baumgartner as well, Anton Dupin has mentioned. Love that. Alex Wirtz also had an incredible helmet design, the Austrian driver. Anyway, Tobias Olsen, right down the far end of the pit lane here at Montreal. It's a really, really long pit lane, actually, isn't it? Quick splash of fuel. They literally have, well, pardon the pun or pardon the lack of better phrasing, but they've barely got time to get the hose in and out again, and he's already gone.
And I just, the keen viewer might have noticed a bit of a thump before as I bumped my arm into that's speaking of my cycling career, the only trophy that I ever won. I managed just to flick my elbow into it, and that hurt like hell.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That hurt a bit.
I was hoping you weren't going to tell me that you elbowed Stella.
Oh, no. Stella is behind closed doors. So when you hear Stella, imagine that Stella through a door and a wall and some stuff, and she's still
for
loud
anyone
like
who
she
doesn't know
is.
Stella, we're not talking about his wife. We're talking about his dog.
Oh yes. Julie's my wife, Stella's my dog. Just to make things clear. Excellent stuff, man. Beautiful stuff. Bart Daleman pitting in. It's going to be interesting to see where he gets out of things. And I'd imagine everyone else to come in as well, which they duly do. And just a quick splash and dash. Pretty much all they need. Like the rest of the field, basically, to come in this time around. And we'll expect Tobias Olsen to come flying through in the 19 car. We really haven't spoken much about him here, Chastity. He's flown under the radar for both of the opening two heats, and for this one as well, he seems impeccable so far.
Yeah, doing a cracking job. Absolutely cracking job. And a lot of the time when you're leading a race, no news is good news. And at the moment, Bart Delman is the only news that Tobias Olsen needs to worry about. Here's Rhys Saunders then coming through the second corner, back on circuit, right in front of Silas Craig-Vrolic, Kevin Zemstra and Miguel Freitas. Then James Forsyth is a little bit further down the road, 6.2 seconds back. Oh, well, that's going on further back. That's some Discovery Channel stuff right there. Mark Van Dalen getting mounted by Greg Parmenter. Oh, the two of them. Greg I don't think Greg knew that he had the overlap. Went to run out to the left-hand side where he normally would go if he was on his own. And the contact was pretty heavy. Now, what is Mark Van Dalen's car going to be handling like? Looks like it's crabbing a little bit. Now, can he get that to the end? Oh, no.
Commentator's curse 2.0 here from Chas Draycott, indeed.
At the end of the day, he answered my question.
The two missing members of the Bloodhound gang, indeed.
Now, Mark's going to try and drag that. He says, come on, darling, let's get you home. But he's trying to drag that thing back bit by bit, bless him. But that was almost instant from the damage.
Matthias! Watch out! You have a class lead to hold on to here, Matthias Room. Don't go and throw it away all so swiftly. The 204 machine there with a bit of a moment, but keeps it all under control. He's got a 6.2 second advantage there over second in the Academy class. That's Phil Reagan. Adim Ashawala completes the Academy podium in consistency. Hans Pullmans leads again here from Tim Rutten. It's by 4.5 seconds, another 4 seconds down to Ben Huffman. And of course, in precision, it is still Tobias Olsen leading from Bart Daleman and Rhys Saunders. Indeed, Saunders, though, coming under pressure yet again from the Alcantech NHR car, number 28 of Silas Craig-Vrolic. And just how that battle is going to pan out at the end, Chas, it's been swinging back and forth like a pendulum indeed. Just which direction it's going to end in, it's anybody's guess here.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to put money on it, to be fair, because Silas looks to be the more sort of in control at the moment, because we've just seen another mistake from Rhys Saunders. But to be honest, Silas has made mistakes of his own as well, so these guys clearly like chucking it over the other side of the white lines. Saunders gone a little bit deep, but Silas gives him the room, carries the speed around the outside. Silas actually gets a really good run as well. Rhys just lights up the rears a little bit down the inside. And now Craig-Vrolic is the car in front, but the slipstream now helping Rhys Saunders out. So this is going to go one way, then the other. Never mind swinging like a pendulum. He's clipped the back of him. He's clipped him. And we said before, these guys need to be careful about the nose of these cars. And I've got to say, that looked to me like Saunders hit him, because he went one way, then the other, and Silas Craig-Vrolic is going to be absolutely fuming at that.
Oh, where is he? There he is.
Oh, hello. Oh my God.
Let's see if we can get a better view of this one. There it is.
Now we'll see. Obviously, we will clip through the... Yeah, there's definite contact. Just upsets the rear of the car, ruins the traction. And Silas Kragvrolic potentially out of this race. Now, he's actually in the pits to get the car repaired. Is he going to get a fast repair? Yes, he is. So he's lucky enough to get that. But, man, if that I mean, most of that car's already red. I imagine that helmet will be glowing red inside by the time this is done. So it's this move here. So they both go over to the right-hand side. And then, look, Reese darts right and then darts left. And it's that bit of contact there. Just brushes against the back of the car. And there's just no need to get that close. I know that these drivers want to use all of the slipstream. He's lucky, to be honest, that Silas didn't sort of clip him on the way back through. Not that he would have done it on purpose, but just the momentum of the car could have absolutely wiped Reese out there, and he would have got just desserts instantly. But you just don't need to get that close. You really don't. There's nothing to be gained from it. And I said at the top of the broadcast that, you know, you don't need to really bump draft these things like we saw a few drivers doing as well. And Matthew Crisp in the chat saying it how it is, saying Silas is pretty good at crashing on straights on his own, let alone with some assistance. So, yeah, as much as the jokes about Silas's driving have been made, that's a massive shame to see that. And he's actually further down the order and looks like he's out of the race now, actually. He's down in 30th place and, yeah, doesn't look like he's on the road either. So that's the end of the day for Silas Kragvrolic, and I imagine that he's going to be very, very fuming about that one.
Yeah, absolutely so, I'm afraid as well. And it's understandable because it's such an avoidable incident in the end. It's really hard to justify trying to press someone that hard and getting that close to someone and utilizing that extra bit of slipstream all in the name of marginal gains or such. It's just unnecessary, I think. It's a bit of a shame to see. It was a really good battle. It was the battle of the field. The time being, these two Skirmans and Pete Harrod up ahead. Two closest cars on track at the moment. So both from the perspective of Silas, but also from the viewer's perspective, a bit of a shame there.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think the thing that'll hurt the most for Silas is the fact that Reese has carried on and got scot-free. You know, it doesn't look like the car's got any damage or anything like that. It just managed to get away with it and continue in a podium position outright as well. So points for him are going to be big if he gets there. Philip Russell on the back of Stephen Grabowski at the moment. Stephen in 19th position. He is currently 4th in the academy class. Philip Russell is 7th in consistency. So these two not really fighting for a class position between one another, but Philip's going to want to get ahead and crack on. Here's Wayne Palmer, 10th in class at the moment. And he's got Van Dalen behind him. Now that is for class position, as you can see from the blue strips on the left-hand side of your screen. These guys obviously trying to take points away from one another. That is Adam Osiawala around, having a moment out of the hairpin. Not the only one tonight, and I'm sure, even with four more laps of this race left, he won't be the last.
I'd be surprised if that is indeed the case. 220 of Adam Osiawala, but again, we've seen it on a few occasions, taking his time and doing a good job of coming back onto the racing line in a safe manner. It's not always that drivers are able to display this kind of patience. Of course, I think we've all tried it ourselves. And some places, of course, are worse than others. Some drivers might have done the Bathurst 1000 recently in the V8 supercars, and surely if you go sideways and get facing the wrong way over the mountain, it's practically impossible to turn it around safely here. Rice Saunders yet again under pressure, but now from a teammate of Silas Kragvrolic, of course. That's Kevin Zemstra, and the 25 car. Good position to take away the podium place there for Rice Saunders. That could be a little bit of a
little bit of redemption, I think.
Yeah, a little bit of a bandage on the wound there for Silas in the end, if his teammate can take that podium spot. But if you want to watch here, Kevin Zemstra has been going quite a bit quicker, over a second faster on the last lap been gaining quickly. Wonder if there's a little bit of damage to the machine ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he got anything from that incident because visually it looks absolutely fine, but I think, to be honest, Kevin's just that quick in this car. I think he has just got the outright pace over Reese at the moment. And, of course, with the slipstream, even in a short run like this down to the hairpin, it will keep them nice and close together. Kevin just needs a really strong run out of this hairpin, needs to keep it nice and smooth on the throttle. And he's got a good slingshot here because if you start a slipstreaming procedure when you're right behind somebody, you're not going to get much of a slingshot past them. You want to start from a little bit further back, reel them in, and then the overspeed is absolutely massive. Now Kevin moves over. Now that's the amount of space that you need to leave between your cars. Kevin's on the outside going into the chicane. That's going to be the inside for the second part. He's forced Reese to go through there quickly. Kevin's the one that gets closer to the wall actually and loses out on time. So really good driving there by Reese Saunders to fight that one right to the death. And you'll see again here, look at the speed. To be honest, I thought he'd overshot that the way he carried the speed through, but that was lovely, lovely stuff. Very accurate there from Reese, wasn't it?
Spot on indeed. Doesn't get much better. Much is certain. Oh, that is
Just noticed as well, Phil Reagan's got a good few positions over Stephen Grabowski in the academy class. So he's been able to stay quite a while ahead. Hans Polman's still leading the consistency class at the moment. And we've got a number of drivers actually from consistency and from precision right near the bottom of the order after retiring as well. I think we've lost 9 cars so far in this race, but Tobias Olsen still the man leading the way.
As we're still watching a replay, that's on me, and apologies, but my SDK has chosen to crash now, and can I get it to stop? Can I get it to? Hopefully we'll be able to get it back up. We can indeed go back to live action and to another part of the field here. So far, it isn't really doing me any favors here.
Yeah, I'm trying to connect to things at the moment as well, so I'll try and get that sorted for you, and then we'll be hopefully on and able to get all the overlay and everything back up for you all. But yeah, I can tell you that Tobias Olsen does continue to lead the race at the moment. And then we've got Bart Daleman, Reese Saunders still in third ahead of Kevin Zemstra, so he's been able to hold him off for now. And it's still Polman's from Tim Rutten, and in that class a bit further down, Tim Rutten is actually 4.4 seconds behind Hans Polman's as well. And we only have 1 lap to go after this, actually. So it's come around very, very quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Again, we have to say, okay, this one is going to be longer. One is almost double the distance. It's not going to feel that quick. Field of action anyway, so yet again, these races, and I was really struck by just how much I felt like it was a blink of an eye before they were done last week. And very much the same, not just because they're that short, but because they're absolutely jam-packed with action. Always makes it an absolute joy to see.
Yeah, it's great fun. Really good fun from these guys. You know, Bart and the squad have done a really strong job of keeping it a very, very entertaining series from the get-go. They've had very interesting formats. My favourite format was actually last season's with the heats, sorting out the grids and so on. So you basically had all the odds and evens from qualifying in heats against each other, and the top 8 from each race would make up the odds and evens of the feature race grid. Then you get a constellation that would make up the last 8 on the grid behind all the odds and evens. It was just, it's all nuts to explain, but when you see it on paper, it's very, very nicely illustrated as well in places by Bart. You can see exactly what they mean. And this now even I'm calling him Rice now, Reese Saunders absolutely flying in third position, but Olsen is the man to watch, and he is doing a really, really strong job at the very front of the field, and continues to be the real star performer, it has to be said, Hasse, because nobody can get near him by the look of it.
Indeed. And on the final lap, he's going to make it 3 out of 3 for tonight as he heads into the final chicane. And what a night it's been for the Swede. Indeed, almost finds himself in a bit of a meeting with fate there. Oh my word, Chaz, but he does indeed take the checkered flag. I think that was a little too close for comfort.
It was just about, yeah. Bart Delman grabs a nice second place. Rhys Saunders is going to survive and take third after the incident earlier on. And then Kevin Zemstra is going to be fourth. Miguel Freitas is going to get a nice fifth position as well. He'll be happy with that. James Forsyth recovers after not so much of a good qualifying for him. Pete Harrod also in seventh. Dominikas Jovaisha is going to finish where he started that one. And Nick Shermans, it seems, has dropped down right at the end there, Hasse. He's lost a number of positions.
That is poor luck for Nick indeed. Hansi Polmans takes another window, heads up Tim Rutten and Ben Hoffman close together in the end. And then in the academy class, Phil Reagan take the win. It seems he's got a comfortable advantage as well. I wonder just what happened there.
Yeah, I can't see anything on... What we have something here, basically, everybody called the event viewer. So if a car has stopped or lost a position or gone off the circuit, then we can quickly click on it and see that back. And I can't actually see a moment where that has happened, I'm afraid. So really not sure. Maybe ran out of fuel. We know that that's happened a lot before with drivers trying to minimize their amount of time in the pit stops. But yeah, it looks straightforward to me. But Tobias Olsen, how dominant has he been so far? It's just incredible. So he's taken, what, 5 wins out of 6 races so far this season? And Tobias Olsen and the Alcantech NHR boys really showing off their prowess at the moment and how quick they can be time and time again. Hans Polman's clearly very happy to have taken the class win there. Fantastic job from Hans. Plenty and plenty of donuts. And now suddenly, it's sort of the calm after the storm, isn't it, Hasse?
Very much so. But Hans Polman, you can understand. He's made, what, 3 out of 3 for him tonight? Which is certainly exactly what for. You can safely say. With that said, I think, Chaz, that it is indeed results time.
It is indeed. We'll have a look then over the final race of the night. Tobias Olsen takes the win from Bart Daleman. 5 seconds in the end, and then another 10 seconds back to Rhys Saunders. Kevin Zemstra ends up 4th. Miguel Freitas finishes 5th. James Forsyth 6th, and Pete Harrod 7th. Dominikas Jovaisha is 8th ahead of Nick Shermans, and Mark Van Dalen rounds out your top 10. Wayne Palmer, the last car in precision to finish. Still has Craig Frolick after that very controversial incident down the straight. Is 7 laps down, and Kevin Pohen is down in 13th after being out very early on. Hans Polmans takes another win in consistency class. Very well done to him. Tim Rutten gets some strong points in 2nd place ahead of Ben Hoffman. Martin Deckens is 4th. Paul Smith gets 5th place with Philip Russell in 6th. Then we have Khan Newen and Victor Blick is 7 laps down in car 7. Ryan Mikalev 12 laps down by the end, and Dries Mujdi 20 laps down as well. And then finally we have the academy results as well. Phil Reagan takes another win there from Dennis Verenga. 14 seconds the gap in the end. Then it's Adam Ossioala taking a podium. 1 lap down we had Jakub Szymanski, Craig Schill and Jürgen van der Peer. And it's Stephen Grabowski and Paul Godden 2 laps down. Robert Odoms 5 laps down. Matisse Groen 7 laps down. Greg Parmenter 8 laps back. And Daniele Giudici, unfortunately, 15 laps down by the end. But it's that time of the night, Hasse, where we get to speak to some of the drivers that we've had on our screens for this evening, while we have a quick slow-mo look back at some of the action that this race has thrown our way. Certainly a very interesting and difficult circuit for these guys to get right time and time again, but we've seen that a lot of them handled themselves very, very well indeed. And I think, to be honest, if we're going to start interviews, there's one man that we should speak to really, who has been pretty untouchable all evening, and that is Tobias Olsen. Tobias, first off, well done on a very, very, very dominant evening. you must be pretty chuffed right now to have taken so many wins early on in the championship. How are you feeling?
Thanks. I am feeling pretty good. What can you call it? Maybe a perfect night. Yeah, pace was really strong. At least in qualifying, it was really nice. Nice lap there in Q1. It was really nice. And then just took it a bit easy in the races, just not crashing.
Yeah, it's a good way to start, I suppose. But
yeah.
You made the pace look very, very easy out there, to be honest with you. And you know, the car had the sort of body language about it where it didn't look like you were pushing too hard. You know, the back end wasn't stepping out, the car wasn't sliding around all over the place. Did you have any hints of that we just couldn't see, or did you feel like the car was pretty planted under your hands?
It felt pretty planted tonight. I didn't push that hard in the races just to be safe, because it's so easy to crash here, especially in the chicanes. But I think the fixed setup that was used this time around really suited my driving. So yeah, I'm really happy with tonight.
I'll say you should be, mate. I mean, it's plenty of championship points, and to be honest, it looks like form that may continue. Obviously, with the rest of the circuits that we have on the calendar, it's a very, very challenging set of tracks coming your way. Are you confident with some of the circuits that we've got coming up that you can continue this form?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is one of my worst tracks actually. So yeah, I think we should be fine for the next races as well.
And just quickly as well, on the team front, obviously you've got quite a lot of Alcantech cars out there with you in the field. Does that give you some sort of confidence going from round to round that you do have that sort of support around you, or because you guys fight each other, does that not really help too much either?
Of course, it feels good to have my teammates up there as well, and yeah, they can come to play if I go for the championship. Maybe I need some help as well. So yeah.
Well, it's certainly great to see so many of you out there. I remember, I can't quite remember who it was I spoke to from the team, but they said that they'd been watching the championship and they wanted to make a sort of a stab at the championship the following season, and here you all are, and you're spearheading that, and it's been phenomenal to watch so far, mate. So very well done. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to?
Just the team, I guess. Alcantech. And thanks to you guys.
Not a problem at all. Thank you very much for joining us, Tobias. Well done again,
thanks,
and we'll see you next time round. Cracking stuff there. And to be honest, you know, Tobias very humble in his victory. You know, he knows that he's had a really strong night of it, and I mean, we mentioned his form earlier. 5 wins out of 6 races is just crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy pace, and to be honest, I don't see anybody stopping him so far.
No, indeed not. They're going to have a very hard time doing that. And, well, as they say in Denmark, they're going to have to get out of bed very, very early to keep up with Tobias Olsson. Does indeed come from the other side of the Øresunds Bridge, but indeed a neighboring country of mine. So nice to see the Scandinavians showing us.
Yes, indeed, mate. Indeed. Being nice and patriotic about you as what I call cross enthusiasts with your flag. But then again, you know, I can't say much for the St. George's Cross that we have. Next up, though, into the broadcast booth with us is a man that was very excited to see that I'd returned to the championship, and I'm very excited to see him doing well. Hans Polmans joins us in the chat. Hansy, mate, that was quite the evening for you. A lot of strong points on the board, some really, really good finishes, and loads of donuts. How do you feel?
I'm feeling quite well. I didn't expect it, really. It's not a bad track, but I had some, well, not the best experience with it from the first season. Yeah. Something happened in my private environment, as I told you back then. So that brings back memories to this track.
Yeah. Well, it's always tough coming into something like that, but at the same time, it's how you sort of bounce back from it, isn't it? You know, you get that motivation to sort of make better of it, don't you, when you come back to a circuit like this? And, you know, it's not an easy track to get right lap after lap. We were talking about it over the course of the broadcast, but the curbs, especially here, are absolutely savage on little open wheelers like these, aren't they?
Yeah, especially for the first one. If you cut it too hard, you kind of bounce away until the second turn, and if you have some bad luck, then you spin.
Yeah, it didn't look easy at all. And again, that's the main thing. It's hard to string a lap together on your own. But when you've got cars in front of you that are sort of blocking your view to the apexes, which are so important, and you've got people side by side with you, it's such a challenging place. But you seem to wrestle it around there quite well tonight. Was there any particular highlights for you other than the fact that you got class wins?
Well, I had some lucky strikes, let's say. In the first race, there was an accident in the first chicane, so I think third and the fourth corner. I nearly could avoid it, so had some good luck there. In the last race, there was a year one car that went off track on the right side, and it just barely touched me when I went over on the left side, but I couldn't go any further because otherwise I would be on the grass and maybe spin as well. So that was a code brown.
Oh yeah, that's it. There's plenty of them at Montreal anyway, to be fair. But it was great to watch you racing like that, and it's always good to see that a lot of drivers can sort of not get their elbows out too much in these cars, but you can get stuck in and have a good fight with people, and there's all the respect and the space given. So very well done from Hassa and I, and of course everyone at Sim Racers World TV. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to before you go, mate?
Yeah, well, for Anton and Hendrik for supporting me on the channel, and of course our biggest sponsor, Mr. Viraco.
Cracking stuff. Well, great to speak to you again, Hans. Thank you very much for joining us, mate. And
right,
we
till
look
next
forward
time.
to seeing you. Yeah, next time round. Cheers, buddy.
Yep, bye-bye.
And there we go. Hans Polmans, the man himself from Flemish Sim Sports. He's got a real sort of Flemish Sim Sports hype train that follows him and the team around, doesn't he, Hassa?
Yeah, indeed. There's a strong following, and it's a strong collective as well, the Flemish Sim Sports. I was just about to call it a family, because that's basically the idea you get coming from the outside. This is a tightly knit buddies that race together. Do a lot of different races as well, different cars, different classes, and they're here, there, and everywhere. And what we do here on Sim Racers World TV, of the sterling teams of our league structure here, and always in the mix. That's great to see.
Yeah, it's always good fun as well. These guys can have some fantastic fights out there. So we have another moment now where we can pick a final driver for an interview, and to be honest, it's been a long time since I have spoken to this man, Mr. Paul Godden, who we'll drag into the booth for a quick chinwag. Paul, that was certainly another lively evening, mainly down to the track choice, because to be honest, it's like a slightly wider Monaco around here with a bit of grass on it. How did you feel like your evening went?
It was a really enjoyable evening. About half hour before the race was due to start, I wasn't even racing tonight because I'm suffering from a shoulder injury. So I've really struggled with it. So I've done no practice this week at all. Jumped on, started from the pit lane, just cruised around at my own pace, driving one-handed, and just enjoyed it really, and tried to pick some points up, and it was going quite well until in race one, me and I think it's Matthias got together. I'm still not 100% sure what happened. I need to look back at that one. And in race two, I started at the back because of the race one, because obviously how it all works now. And that was going really well until a car decided to spin back round to face the wrong way, coming out of a corner, and just clipped I thought I missed it, but I just clipped his rear wheel, and he ripped my wheel off, and that was it. So it was game over for that race. But it was going, and they obviously went into race 3, which is now single qualifying, and I knew there was 9 people that had a quali ban from the first round, so I knew that I was going to start at least 9 places up from the grid. So I thought, right, I need to get my head down, get a half decent lap in to get a few more places, and then I just went for it, pushed really hard, and yeah, it was going really well. I think I was 19th, and then I hit the wall of champions. And that was it. That was the end of that good run. But overall, it's really enjoyable, and it's really great to see such a strong grid, and everyone seems to be having a good banter on and off the track as well this season, which is great to see. And and I haven't watched any of the broadcast back yet, but I'd imagine it was quite exciting throughout the whole grid tonight.
Oh yeah, there was plenty going on. It was really good fun to watch, and typical stuff for Montreal. drivers pushing to the limit, scraping the walls, almost having contact with each other, sort of outbreaking themselves, and yeah, bit of everything for us, but certainly entertaining. Zandvoort next time round, mate. Now, that's a track that's always provided good racing in this championship when we've visited there before. Is it a circuit that you feeling confident about?
Yeah, Zandvoort, I normally do really well round there. It's been some of my best results I've had. As long as you can get through the first couple of corners clean.
Yeah.
After that, you can have a really good race with people. There's a couple of places, good overtaking opportunities as well. It just depends how my shoulder is, unfortunately. If I can feel like I'm up to racing, because doing one-handed, I'm fine doing laps. But when you start close contact in racing, it's very, very difficult to try and shift and do everything all with one hand. And obviously, I don't want to take anyone out from a mistake that I make personally, because I'd feel horrible for it. So I just see how it goes on the night. If I can, I'll get some practice in, and then go from there. But the rest of the team seem to be doing not too bad this season. Wayne's doing really well, which is great to see. And Danelli and Greg are, they're having a few incidents at the moment, unfortunately. But overall, the whole team's really looking forward to the rest of the season and how the new format plans out. We don't know yet, but it's really exciting to see what Bart's come up with, and we support him all the way to the end. So
it's good to have that support as well. And Bart does work very hard on this, and it's interesting to see all these different formats as well, season after season. I'm always excited to see what he pulls out of his pocket next, to be honest. But,
you never know, do you?
No, you never know. Either way, though, Paul, great to speak to you, mate. Fantastic to see you doing well again in this championship, and at least getting stuck in. So hopefully Zandvoort goes well for you next time round. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to before you go?
The main people, obviously, the SRW admin for all the hard work they put in after round one, because there was quite a bit of mess to sort out, I believe, after round one, and I was unfortunately unavailable for it. They done a great job. And for Bart, for the hours he puts in behind the scenes, making it all work, and coming up with the crazy ideas that he comes up with, because the amount of work he put into this season beforehand was unbelievable. And for him to he come up with the idea, he worked out everything he needed to do, and then he showed it the plan, and I said, I think that sounds really good. And he's done brilliantly, and I hope it all works out for it all at the end. And the main thing is that every driver enjoys himself. So I think if everyone enjoys himself and we can have a great rest of the season, then I think Bart's done a brilliant job.
Yes, indeed, mate. I'm with you on that. Second it completely. Well, thank you very much for joining us again, Paul. Great to speak to you again, buddy.
No
it feels
problem.
like it's
Catch
been
you
a long
later
time. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Cheers. Well, there we go, Hassa. Quick chat with some of our drivers. Really, really top guys, as always. Really entertaining people, and they always give us a good insight in what's gone on. And from what we see from outside of these cars in these broadcasts, we don't always get the full picture, and it's always nice to have a quick chat with drivers. But we know one thing tonight, and that is that Tobias Olsson is very, very difficult to catch, and he's certainly the favourite for the championship in my eyes. But bring back Mark Fletcher. Let's tell him to put his 9-iron down and get back on with it, and put his right foot down instead.
Yeah, because he seems to be the only one so far that can really deal with Tobias Olsson in that case, and maybe be the one to apply the pressure, the Swede, to maybe start sweating a little more than he seemed to do tonight. Nobody wants to see anyone have an easy time, but it was certainly a dominant display tonight by Tobias Olsson, and of course, all to his own credit, brilliant drive through all three races tonight to basically pick up a clean hat trick here, which is quite the achievement.
Yeah, it certainly is, mate. And the fact that he had the pace all the way through as well in clean air, there was nobody behind, even with any sort of slipstream, could get anywhere near him, and nobody could just sort of make that final push to close that gap down. So he certainly did a phenomenal job, and you never know, Zandvoort could be very, very different. We could have different drivers up at the front. It's one of those circuits that demands a lot from people, but what do you think is the main thing we can expect from Zandvoort? I mean, I've obviously seen it before, but going into it with these Formula 3 cars for the first time as broadcaster, what do you reckon we'll get from Zandvoort?
A little bit of the same as we've got here from tonight as well, though. Zandvoort is a tricky place to race. I think these cars are the right size for the track, so I think we're going to see some good action. While as with the bigger classes of cars, even just GT3s and of course the Formula 1 machines have a bit of a difficult time overtaking there as well. I think we're going to see some good action. I think it's going to be a race where patience is going to be a virtue and it's going to be able to take you quite far, because I could also imagine that it's not going to be an easy way or an easy race to see the end of in the end. It's a twisty track, it's technical indeed. It has a little bit about a little bit of the same as Solder, not necessarily that the tracks remind so much of one another, but they tend to produce some of the same kind of racing when you watch it, and that's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, it should be really, really good fun. And to be honest, we hope that you all enjoyed tonight and hope that we can see you there. But for now, it is time to bid farewell from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I've been Chaz Draycott, and thank you as always to the wonderful Hasarema and everybody that has been involved in the championship and all the drivers and everybody for watching. But for now, have yourselves a fantastic evening, and we will see you next time round at Zandvoort next Thursday night.